What if the very thing you thought would save you is what's slowly suffocating you? That thing is productivity. You were told that being productive would free you, that if you optimized enough, achieved enough, streamlined enough, you'd finally have peace. But here's the truth. Productivity can become a prison. Instead of freedom, it locks you in. Instead of clarity, it clutters you with endless tasks. Instead of fulfillment, it leaves you asking, why do I still feel empty when I'm doing everything right? Because productivity without purpose is just performance. And performance without presence burns you out. That's the trap no one tells high achievers about. Think about how productivity culture works. Every time you cross something off the list, 2 more appear. Every time you hit one benchmark, the bar moves higher. Every time you get faster, more gets piled on. So productivity promises freedom, but delivers more chains. Chains of constant doing, chains of constant proving, chains of constant pressure. And leaders fall into this trap the hardest because productivity is rewarded with titles. It's rewarded with recognition. It's rewarded with money. But it costs something bigger. Your soul. This is where spirituality enters the conversation. Not as religion, not as rituals, but as the reminder that leadership isn't just about what you do, it's about who you are while you do it. Spirituality gives you a framework to measure what productivity never will. Meaning, alignment, wholeness. It's the piece that takes leadership from survival to sustainability, from performance to purpose. Here's the difference no one talks about. Productivity asks, how much can you do? Spirituality asks, who are you becoming while you do it? Productivity is obsessed with efficiency. Spirituality is grounded in meaning. Productivity measures hours. Spirituality measures alignment. Productivity may grow your resume. Spirituality grows your legacy. And when you separate the two, when leadership runs only on productivity, you get what so many leaders are facing today: exhaustion, emptiness, and disconnection. Let's take this deeper. Why does productivity fail leaders? Because it only manages the outer world, not the inner one. It organizes tasks, but it doesn't organize values. It maximizes output, but it doesn't maximize clarity. It counts what you did, but it can't tell you why it matters. That's why leaders can be crushing their to-do list, but still feel crushed inside. Because the soul doesn't count checkboxes. The soul craves coherence, a sense that what you're doing flows from who you are. Here's where spirituality enters leadership. Not in a religious sense, not in a performative sense, but in the sense of wholeness. Spirituality asks, are you leading from fear or from alignment? From scarcity or from sufficiency? From exhaustion or from presence? When leaders engage their spiritual dimension, productivity stops being a prison and starts being a tool. A tool directed by purpose, not pressure. A tool grounded in clarity, not chaos. A tool that serves your values instead of consuming your life. So what does it look like to break free from the productivity prison? It looks like shifting from metrics to meaning. It looks like valuing depth over speed. It looks like giving as much attention to your state of being as you do your list of tasks. For example, instead of asking, "What can I get done today?" ask, "What can I create today that actually matters?" Instead of asking, "How can I get more efficient?" ask, "How can I get more aligned?" Instead of asking, "How do I prove my worth through output?" ask, "How do I embody my worth through presence?" These questions are not soft. They're strategic. Because presence creates trust faster than productivity ever could. And alignment inspires commitment longer than pressure ever will. This is why so many high achievers feel trapped. They're not lazy. They're not unfocused. They're not ungrateful. They're simply running a leadership model that prioritizes production over presence. And presence is what people actually follow. Think about it. Do you remember the leaders who got the most done? Or the leaders who made you feel safe, seen, and capable? People don't remember the productivity of their leaders. They remember the presence of their leaders. And here's where the shift happens. The moment you stop worshiping productivity and start embodying presence, you unlock energy. Because you're no longer bleeding out in 100 directions. You're channeling energy through one coherent direction. Your values, your vision, your voice. That's what spirituality restores to leadership. A through line that makes everything else more efficient because it's no longer fragmented. But let's go deeper into what alignment really means. Alignment is not a buzzword. It's the synchronization between what you believe, what you say, and what you do. When those three are connected, you generate energy instead of leaking it. Think of it like electricity. If the wiring is frayed, the current shorts out. If the wiring is clean and connected, the current flows with power. Alignment is that clean wiring for leadership. Alignment looks like decisions that reflect your values, even when they cost you in the short term. It looks like communication that matches your intention instead of masking it. It looks like a calendar that reflects your priorities instead of just other people's demands. Alignment is not about perfection. It's about integrity. The integration of your inner world with your outer actions. And here's why this matters for energy. Misalignment is exhausting. When you're pretending, defending, or performing, you burn energy just to keep the mask in place. But when you're aligned, energy flows naturally because there's nothing to hide, nothing to prove, nothing to force. That's why alignment is the real antidote to burnout. It gives you energy not by adding more hours of rest, but by removing the friction of disconnection. So let's reframe the question. It's not, how do I get more done? It's, how do I become more whole while I lead? Because wholeness is sustainable. Wholeness fuels clarity. wholeness creates resilience. And this is the paradox. The more whole you are, the more effective you become. Not because you're hustling harder, but because you're aligned deeper. Here's the truth I want you to hold. Productivity will always whisper, just one more thing, one more hour, one more sacrifice. But spirituality whispers, you're enough. Lead from there. One builds prisons, the other builds presence. One leaves exhaustion, the other leaves legacy. So the next time you feel yourself trapped in the endless cycle of doing, stop. Ask not just what you're producing, but who you're becoming. Because freedom doesn't come from doing more. It comes from aligning more. If this resonates, subscribe. Share this with another woman in leadership who's tired of the prison of productivity and ready to reclaim her presence. And come back every Monday as we continue moving from burned out to spiritually lit.